What's going on, YouTube? It's Thursday, April 16th. I feel late with this, but it's okay. Just going to do a quick video on goats. I shot the goat last weekend, which is one of two PCSL majors, I guess, a year. I don't know if there's like level twos and stuff yet, but I know they've got nationals in the goat right now as their major. So big turnout for the match, 207 total shooters. I actually opted to go to the GOAT rather than go to Texas Three Gun Championship by Magpul. I would have had FOMO either way because they're both great matches. I opted to go with the GOAT because my job situation was unsure and it felt like the right thing to do fiscally, to not travel all the way to Texas and just to go down to Florida, which is like a 4 hour, 3.5, 4 hour drive for me down to Crestview and Holt. So that's why I opted with that as opposed to driving 2 days to Texas and add in another day of match and another day of everything. So my 13-year-old daughter went with me, so we drove down. I pulled her out of school Friday. We take school serious in our house. We drove down Friday morning, walked stages, and we're done by like 3, 4 in the afternoon, and just kind of chilled in the hotel. And then I shot morning. This was my first time in a match that was you could do morning or evening. Huge fan. If I ever run a match that has multiple iterations like that, it will be morning, evening. I like to shoot in the morning, and then I can kind of hang out and do what I want in the afternoon. I didn't because I had my daughter with me, and she wanted to go spend some of Daddy's money in Destin, so we did that Saturday afternoon. But yeah, so before we get into the videos, overall performance, I finished 70th out of 207, so literally like one spot out of top third, which was my goal. And then overall percent was 67.32% of Jacob Hetherington, who was the overall winner. And we'll get back to practical versus competition here in a sec. And then if you drill down to comp, I was 34th out of 102. So I think I might be right at the last person in the top third there for competition at 68.05%. So my goal this year, so I shot seven majors last year, and most of them I was in the 60s. So my goal this year is to consistently be in the 70 percentile and preferably above 75% by the end of the year. That's my goal. So right now I care way more about my major match finishes than I do about my classifiers in USPSA. So right now I'm shooting B class major match finishes, which I think is decent. My goal is to start having A class percentage major match finishes, so between 75 and 80%. That's my goal. Yeah, I was in a really good squad. I think we were 102. I think we were 102, or 102 or 202, something like that. Anyways, I didn't tell him this. The only reason I picked that squad was because Tom Castro was on it. He probably won't watch this, but he's kind of a polarizing figure, and some people like him and some people hate him. And so I wanted to go make up my own mind about Tom. And I tell you what, I will squad with Tom any day. He reset. He worked hard. He's like all of us. When he messes something up, he wants to talk about it a lot. But hey, that's kind of the fun of the sport. He had a rough start, which is his business, not mine to share. But overall, he had a great. He was 12th overall at his third ever two-gun match. And at the end of the day, he and I actually had this conversation. Me as a three-gunner, him as a world shoot level one USPSA shooter. PCSL is much closer to the skills required to succeed in PCSL are much closer to the skills required to succeed in one-gun USPSA than they are in three-gun overall. And the results kind of went there. My opinion, right? My opinion. And the biggest thing being, if you listen to, the Adams on the perf, three-gun, the long-range component and the shotgun component of three-gun are so different from what happens in PCSL two-gun. I think I one-shotted all the long-range stuff, and I think I dropped one long-range deal. We'll get into that later when we go over stages. But real quick, I don't know. Here's a question for the group. Is there a big enough difference between practical and competition to make a difference? So looking at the top, we'll go to top 14 because that goes down to Jeremy Leitner, who again, world-class shooter. practical, competition, practical, practical, competition, practical, competition, competition, practical, 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 competition, practical, competition. It's virtually no different. It's not like going to a USPSA major where it's PCC and open, and then for the top 10% ish, and then you'll eventually get down there to your limited optics and your carry optics, stuff like that. Like there's not a major advantage in this game to practical versus competition. Well, the one caveat I would tell you is I messed up. I was dry firing Friday morning, and I put some oil on my PCC, and it didn't have a dust cover, so I locked the bolt back and ended up against the wall in the garage. And then when I opened my gun case in Florida Friday night, my PCC was not in it. I do think having the PCC is a significant competitive advantage, especially if you can hit minis at 50 yards. If you can shoot a PCC reliably on all the stages that are only 50 yards, I think it's a game changer because they're just so much lighter and so much more maneuverable than a rifle. At least mine are. My JP rifle is still coming in at like 10 pounds. A red dot is so much faster to transition than an LPVO, at least for me. So I think it is a competitive advantage to run a PCC in this game. Okay, like I said, I squatted with Tom. 9 out of 10 recommend. He's going to cause drama, but the drama I saw him cause, he was right on, and it was the right thing to do to hold the staff accountable to not knowing the rule book. And we'll talk that later on. The other guy that was a top 10 shooter, he's right at number 10, was Justin Anderson. I didn't know Justin Anderson. I said that too fast. He's out of Wisconsin. Super awesome dude. Kind of a tall, wiry guy, like I was 20 years ago. But he was a good shooter, and he and Tom knew each other. I don't know Justin's background at all. I haven't Googled him much. So I had them on the squad, and then I had Taylor from Dissident Arms on my squad. I didn't realize that till we were shooting, and then he kind of filled me in that we had kind of the Houston area. I had a bunch of high-level shooters from Houston. It wasn't all of like the GMs and stuff from Houston, but most of I think the 5 or 6 of them that were from Houston were all M or GM level shooters in one gun sports. So I had some really good shooters on the squad. I was not the worst one on the squad, but I don't think I was in the top half of the squad. I didn't pull up all the names. Okay, so let's get going with stages. So we started off on the shoot-off stage. Hard to have energy on the shoot-off stage at 7:30 in the morning. It was slow to get started. There was timers, but normal match morning. Can we get going? Can we get going? Stuff. But the bottom line, I liked the shoot-off. Let me open one up here and hit play. Make sure my sound's not up too loud, or I'll just sort it out later. So I'm gonna hit play. I was on the left side every time, so I got to stare at a shirtless, mildly hairy Hunter Constantine, wearing Crocs on every time I started. So I shot this backwards. I shot the rifle from right to left, knowing that I would want to speed up as I went, so that I would shoot the closer targets later. And then the rule was you had to come back across your wall, shoot at least one still, and you had to finish on the further side of the wall to shoot the popper to finish. So we'll go ahead and hit play on this. It was really easy. This was my slowest run. I took a few extra shots on the right side of the wall before coming back left, and it was also the only stage I went 1 for 1 on. The woman I shot against, she didn't finish the stage, and she had to reload her pistol. So that was the only one I won. The reality of the way they do the shoot-off is only the top 2 really matter. Everybody else, it's random draw on when you get to grid something off the little local prize table that everybody gets. I got hooked up. For some reason, nobody wanted a $500 JP certificate, so I took the $500 JP certificate. And I was like the second or third to the last. Like people just kept going by it. So probably going to be a 22 upper for my JP rifle in my future. Okay. So starting on the shoot-off, good and bad. If you're worried about how well you do on the shoot-off, bad to start there. If you're like me and you just want to warm up, it's a great warm-up stage. I actually won 2 rounds. I won the second round. The guy was faster than me, but he left a steal. And then the third round, I went against, I think I went against Justin Anderson. It wasn't even close. Like, I went back and watched the video, and I think he was already shot his first pistol and was on the other side of the wall, starting to engage pistol again before I got my first pistol round off. We were even coming off of the rifle. He was just that much faster on the transitions than I was. So it was what it was. All right, so from there we went to stage 7, and I learned that my computer was turned up way too loud. So I will mute the video when I watch it this time. Boop. All right, so all these stages were 2-gun stages. There was no rifle only or pistol only. This one had started with these 3 small steel. We had a bunch of rifle arrays. I opted to start with the 3 small steel. I top loaded, I think, 10 long range rounds. So that's where I always top load for this type of stuff. So that I'm a PCC, I top loaded 10 nice rounds. Again, I'm shooting the Black Arc stuff. It's like I think it's like $120 a round. So I didn't want to shoot 50 of those on every stage. So I top loaded 6 or 8 of them just in case I had some misses, and then I had burns underneath that. So where most people started left or right and they just picked up the steel as they went across, I started on the steel and then picked up paper. So here we go. And beep. Yeah, I missed a steel there and then went pretty good. I was pretty patient on it. I wish I had shot it faster. I did not have a super awesome stage. I'm going to pull this over here so you don't have to look at my ugly left side profile. I thought they did a really good job with the stages overall. You had to run up here. There was one more rifle target. I just felt like I was slow getting on targets with the rifle. I felt like I did fine with pistol on getting on targets. And I had a lot of pistol makeups on steel. My hits on paper weren't bad. Right there. I mean, that's not a hard popper. And then this bottom head was upside down there. I had a miss on that, and it was a cold mic, but I was already transitioned by the time my brain processed it. So, and I saw there, and I had a miss on the swinger. I own a swinger now, so if I'll get off my ass and get to the range more, I will practice swingers more. So that was stage 6. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. How did I do? I like have all this stuff pulled up on my screen here and then don't have it ready. Stage 6. Overall, the bleat down, I finished at 75th, so right on the edge of top third. So not great, not bad. There were a lot of misses on that swinger from what I could tell. All right, from stage, I'm sorry, that was stage 7. That was stage 7. Stage 7, I did not do as well, 97th, so kind of mid-pack, 51.68%, yeah. So from there, we went around to the backside. Element had some new ranges this year. They built a new long range, and they built some more bays back there, so it was pretty cool. I don't know how they use it all. This was the rooftop stage. So there were a lot of folks that were like running up and standing and shooting them offhand. That was the faster stage plan, and I would have liked to have tried it. It's kind of one of the things I hate about matches is you're like, man, I want to try that, but I'm going to shoot the safe stage plan so I know I can do it, and that's why I don't win matches. All right, so we're going to hit play here. There's the beep. And then, again, some long-range steel. A lot of guys were shooting these with PCC. I had zeroed my PCC. I have a 5 MOA Defender on there, Defender XL. And so my 50-yard groups were like 5-6 inches. The best shooters were taking those on the move. I think it was not a lot longer to post up and then take these on the move. Your pistol was unloaded because of the rooftop, so you had to load pistol, kind of move to that corner. Had some really long pistol shots in this match. That one was not long. I just tried to take it on the move and knew that if I didn't hit it in the first couple shots, I would have to stop. So decent stage there. Stage 8, I was 87th, 63.65%. Fun stage, shooting out the rooftop. You know, a lot of one-gun shooters are never going to do that, so it was fun. Stage 9, so it was a 10-stage match, but only 9 stages counted towards your score. The shoot-off wasn't put into the score. So stage 9 was like stage 8 last year. You had to headbutt a goat to start, and the wall layout was the exact same. There were just some minor differences. Last year you had swingers on both sides. This year you had a swinger one on the right side as the shooter was looking at it, and on the left side there was a bonus pistol clay, which I don't think most people shot at the bonus pistol clay. But here we go.
Let's send it.
And I did a little complaining up front here. I'll probably because I had to like do like a half squat just to get my head down there. I don't know how I feel about headbutting the goat. If you're smart, you just kind of push it with your fingers, but I'm an idiot and get excited. Got 2 hits on that swinger. It had a nice pause up top, and then a lot of people were getting that many there. I have a dog that wants outside. I may have to pause this. So that steel right there was what activated the clay. You're going to have to retreat with whatever with this one, and the rifle was unloaded. So this was a point of contention. PCSL rules state that unless stated in the written stage brief, you can lock the bolt back. The staff had shot it bolt locked back. The ROs on the stage were making people leave it forward, and we called the range master, and our squad that hadn't already shot got to lock the bolt back, and there were no reshoots given if you started with the bolt forward. So that caused some frustration, but that goes back to my previous what do I think of PCSL. Their biggest problem is they got to figure out their ROs. And I'm going to pause right here because I got a dog that wants to go pee. Okay, through the magic of the internet and my Mac computer, we are back. So that was that. And then now we're going to stage 6. Oh, I'm sorry, stage 9. I shot pretty good. 53rd overall, 69.33%. All right. So stage 6 was another rifle start. This is a stage I really wanted to have my PCC for. I feel like I could have shaved a couple seconds if I'd have had my PCC. But you had just some quick paper on the right, paper on the left, and then a couple of long, but they were full size. So I'm probably going to shoot a Charlie anyway because I'm going to shoot too fast. So why not shoot the PCC that's not as accurate? I think this is kind of a weird thing of PCSL is the natural thing, just because of the depth of these bays, is to start with pistol. We are going to start running some PCSL matches out at Arena, where I have some 200-yard bays. Or excuse me, it's a rifle and pistol. This swinger caused some contention too. This was the other place that Tom had some issues, and it's kind of a weird thing. I think a lot of people are doing it with these Targets USA signs. They have a black border, a red line, and then they're white. And they were scoring the signs different Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, if you hit it black, it was like hitting a wall and the round didn't count. And then if you hit the red or the white, it was a no-shoot. And then on Sunday, the red or white was still a no-shoot, but the black had become soft cover. So again, we just got to figure rules out. I am signed up I'm signed up but not approved to shoot nationals yet. I really want to go shoot nationals and kind of see a different staff. A lot of these guys are the same guys we were last year. Great Americans, great out there working the match, but it kind of weird. All right, so that was Saturday. For those of you that are thinking about shooting the match, you're 30 minutes from going down to Destin and being on the beach, maybe 40. I think GPS had it at like 32 from the hotel in Crestview. So yeah, so the daughter and I went down to the beach, had dinner, donated. It's state law in Georgia that you have to go to Destin every year, which I really don't want to go anymore because I want to go to different beaches. Yeah, so that's that. All right, so came back Sunday morning. We started on stage 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Okay. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So this one was a retreat stage. You started forward with pistol, retreated back through one shooting area, and then went back forward with rifle. And this is a way to get you to start with pistol if you only have 50-yard bays. And I've got 2 videos of this. One, the only third person is from my daughter. She did a decent job, but we'll probably use the third person view just so you guys don't have to stare at my awesome wrists all the time. So instead you can watch Lurch in action as I run or try to run. I feel like I run fast, but I just look slow because I'm covering like 8 feet with every step when I'm actually sprinting. I dropped a mic on rifle on this one, and I'll call it when I shoot, or I'll tell you. So one of my goals, I kind of blended the Tom Anderson and the Tom Castro, the Anderson and Castro methodologies, unloaded rifle start. And I made a good goal, but I still shot in match mode the whole time. But my goal was just to move faster. Sprinting is not my strong point. So right here, there was the 30-yard paper. I called a shot over the shoulder on the last one as I was leaving. I just moved too early. But so I did that 5 times in this match. I had 5 mics, so I did it at least 4 times where I was trying to move before I was done shooting. So that's where the Tom Castro, the trigger lets you move, is a good methodology. I think I need to start getting into my practice. As you see the RO walking back there with the pistol, I'd say that was another consistency thing. And I think you get this at all matches, not just this one. But the consistency being some stages the ROs were pre-clearing, some stages we were pre-clearing, some stages there was no pre-clearing. For match flow, you should always pre-clear when possible. I don't care who does it. As long as I don't get in trouble if the RO NDs my gun. All right, so stage 3 was the pallet city, or pallet thing. My daughter thought this was the coolest stage ever, and they are fun stages. I shot this one. I'm sorry, stage 2. I shot kind of right there where I was, 64 overall, 66.32%. Stage 3 here was my best stage, percent-wise, but not number-wise. All right, so again, it's a quick rifle. I was one of the only ones that started left and back right. There's different ways to do it. These windows I liked. It was just ports, and you kind of had to stop a lot and engage. Those are just a little bit too far to take on the move, and which caused some delays. So this was an interesting spot where you had 4 paper you could take, or you could take 3, or you could take 2. You kind of had to make some decisions. I opted to take 2, take that 1 paper there, and then from this corner, most people were ending on that paper, and then I took that paper. So yeah, just a little bit different. Shot a really nice double on that one that had to get overlaid. Not quite a South Beach, but it was still pretty good. So stage 3, 72.48%, so best percent, but a lot of people shot that pretty close to each other. 69th overall. Just, I think the reality was you were just all the changing directions and everything. There was just a lot of stop and go no matter how you shot it. All right. Went from that to my worst stage overall, stage 4. Why was this on my worst stage? I don't remember. Had a mic on it and just didn't shoot it super clean. I didn't have any no shoots though. So, and like I said, all the mics were cold for the most part. Oh, this one was, I again, as I was posted up on this tree shooting 5 targets, the last engagement, there's another target to the right that I was going to back out on. And the whole time I was shooting those long minis, I was worried about backing out smoothly. So instead of shooting, I was worried about that. And then the other thing that went weird, again, I'm trying hard to shoot on the move. I put forward this stupid plate, which was a little bit frustrating. It's my fault for not shooting better. I tried to move forward too fast here. And then, got going too fast. And then, I could shoot a plate on the move. And yeah. So didn't do great, didn't do bad. Had some good parts in that stage, had some bad parts of the stage. At the end of the day, I'm doing what I wanted to do and trying to shoot on the move. Then we went to stage 5, the battering ram. This one was kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about battering ram doors. I was surprised at how many people loved it because you started this, everything loaded, pistol holstered, and then a battering ram, you had to hit a door. Hitting a door is fine. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a realistic thing. The door was super light, and I'm a 250-pound dude who used to break doors down. And so I hit it like I was actually going to break a door down, and it came back and kicked my ass. I also that JP, I'm learning the safety on it. This is a weird thing that's happened. It happened to me twice in this match where I flicked the safety and it went like 80 degrees and stopped and didn't go the other 10. So I don't know if I want to do a 45-degree throw on it or what. I probably just need to practice with the gun more and do more dry fire, right? That's the answer to all things is dry fire. And there's the door. You see me kind of go to the right there. That was the door coming back and hitting me. Yeah. I like this stage. It was fun. Had a lot of fun little angles. I was kind of watching the other people do walkthroughs. This was another steal that I just, 4 shots at one steal is way too many, which goes back to why I didn't shoot good. There's a lot of talk about should you brace here, should you not. I think I shot 3 alphas at the minis, so I was fine with bracing. This was a tough stage to RO. Just there were, you had to go forward, you had to go backwards, you had to do a lot of stuff. Little trigger freeze there, it cost me a half second. And then I think I shot this here pretty good. I did notice all throughout this, I keep, instead of just transitioning on the gun, I'm dipping the gun every transition. So that's something I got to work on in Tri-Fire, and why, like if I was looking at third person view, I don't know that I would have got that, but certainly with the first person view, you can see that just a little bit dip of the gun as my eyes come up over the gun and find the target, and then I'm dipping the gun and coming up into the next one. And I think that's an old Army target of doing close quarters marksmanship. You do a lot of dipping of the gun. Right, wrong, whatever. That's where I think the habit comes from. And again, not bad overall, 65%, 89th on that one. And then stage 1 here, my best finish numbers wise, but not necessarily my best. So this was an interesting stage. As I start this, you'll see the 6 paper targets, and they were out at like 50 yards. I don't know that I've ever shot paper at 50 yards, which is kind of on me as a competitor. I should do that. Excuse me. But you could fire 2 shots from a port, and you had to move to a new port. So it was in your interest, because you kind of planned which 6 ports to shoot from. So it was in your interest to call both shots really good shots, start to take your time. There was also a bonus steal at like 75 yards. Justin Anderson, and if you hear my dog in the background, we're ignoring her because I'm going to be done in like 2 minutes. But Justin Anderson was helping me out to understand hit factor math. So that was a 15-point target, and Christian and those guys had already shot the stage, and it was a 2 hit factor stage. So 15 divided by 2, that was a 7.5 second target. I spent about 1.5 seconds on it. To put 3 rounds at it. So I should have spent a couple more rounds at it to get that target. I was the only one on our squad not to hit the target. I think most people hit the bonus target. I haven't gone back and looked. But yeah, so you had to do all this pistol shooting. You started kind of with your hands outside, whatever, it's fine. So you're seeing some pretty slow splits. It kind of is what it is. I do think I could have moved a little more aggressive from port to port as I went back and watched this. And then before you could shoot that bonus target, you had 4 paper there you had to shoot, and I felt like I shot those at the appropriate pace. I did brace on the connection with my forearm. That's, my go-go gadget arms. Most people were pulling back and using their hand. So this was a slung rifle stage. I messed up and I figured my sling out, but then you had to run all the way over here. Go all the way up these stairs, and then you'll see this blue line here. Once you cross that blue line, you could load your rifle. You had 2 C-zone steel out there. They were plenty big. You had to hit each of them once from 3 positions. I single shotted all this stuff. Again, I'm using my 3-gun rifle, so 150-yard C-zone steel is pretty easy. I would have thought less of myself had I missed one. But the guys that were running Magna, the USPSA shooters, a lot of them were putting 2, 3, 4 shots at these because they were rushing their shots instead of just taking the time calling. And I did dial up to about 4 power, and it made it just super easy. And then you had to be in contact with that shooting bench, and then you had 5 full-size rifle, and then a mini rifle surrounded by a no-shoot, which is one of their favorite things to do. A lot of people, you see that port down to the right there, a lot of people were looking at that port and planning to go through there when And then when they got up there with their magazine in their rifle, they realized, oh, I no longer fit in that port. So I think there was some hesitation there with some people. Yeah, overall, great match. I mean, Max does all this stuff, so PCSL is PCSL. That is the style of PCSL. I think they told me there were 2 stages at Nationals last year that had longer range. This one's only got 1. At the end of the day, you shoot what the facility has, and this facility, the way it worked, you could only really do 1 long range stage. Had a great time. We'll definitely try to make that a yearly thing, especially because it's right here down in Florida. It's a couple hours from the house. Last year the family was going to go, but it rained, and then this year my daughter came with me, so it was fun. So yep, that was my goat. Y'all have a good one. Keep shooting PCSL, 3-gun, all that stuff. Bye.